What is up, bros, bears, moms, mommies, and everything in between? As always, this is Patrick, full promo power, your mom's favorite powerlifter. Welcome back to another episode where we are Anakin and gravity is Obi-Wan Kenobi, except in this story, they underestimate our power even further, and actually we win. Why do I feel like the villains of stories are always more relatable? That sounds wrong, but like, Darth Maul was cool. I mean, he lacked a lot of character depth, but I mean, let's be honest, the villains in the Star Wars universe don't really have any character depth at all. They are ominous and present, but not present at... There's this whole... I dove into villain writing theory at one point, as I've been writing my own fiction literature. But like, there's this whole archetype of ominous but not present villains, and that's like the Sauron in Lord of the Rings, where you know it's a big baddie, and that's exactly what Star Wars does with their big baddies. Anyways, enough ADHD tangent. We have ourselves a deadlift day today, and on this deadlift day today, there's what I want to do, and then there's what I should do, and then there's the plan. I want to stick to the plan, but last week deadlifts did not go very well, and we had a day where we slept 11 hours, and hopefully we recovered, and we also took almost like a halvesies deload on squats, so hopefully we got enough not coverage, but recoverage. I guess that's a not a real word, but you guys would understand what I mean by that, to be able to stick to the program. So the plan that I had sent out to the homie to crazy check, I send basically my plans for different lifts out to my buddy Shane Haller, and he's like, this is good, or he doesn't say this sounds stupid, but he'll be like, why don't you do this instead? Which, if you're a coach, or not a coach, but like in any sort of management position, that is a very good thing for you to do with your managed persons, is instead of calling them idiots or dumbasses or whatever, you say, cool, why don't you try this instead? I use that with my underlings all the time. And one of them said I should be employee of the year, which is weird because all I did was read a document out loud verbally using my audiobook narration skills. Do not look me up on Audible. I have 3 books to my name. None of them are good. None of them are good. I will make money if you buy them. Do not buy them. They are that bad that I don't want anyone to like actually read them. And I can't actually speak the names because the YouTube algorithm would censor this video and blacklist it because there are terms in the titles that are not cool. Anyways, so the plan that I sent to Shane, which would have included last week, was go for a triple PR. I hit a triple PR the week before deload, which was 2 weeks ago, and that was 700 pounds. I was like, let's do 716 for a triple then, or get 6 reds with collars. That would be super cool, super easy breezy cover girl. Maybe it's Maybelline, maybe I'm just jacked. So last week I was going to do that, and then I missed doing 716 for 1. I'd been getting spontaneous headaches all week due to stress headaches all week. Ever since I had that really long napping day, I haven't quite had the intense headaches that I was having. I am starting to have a headache right now, but I think that one's just dehydration because it is 92 degrees outside, and I did not drink enough water. So, yay me. So the plan was mid sevens, or not mid sevens, but like early sevens, low sevens for a triple. I was planning on doing 716, but not good. And then the second week, which would be this week, I hit I should hit, I wanted to hit, wanted to is a word that exists, phrase, 750 for 2. My current 1 rep PR is 779, and I barely missed 799 point whatever at lockout. I did not choose that number. My coach at the time did, and everyone knew that I did not pick that number because, like, it's basically like a faux pas to put 799 on the bar. No, that's what you, if, I would have been mad if I got it. I would have been like, I am as close to 800 as you can get without actually getting 800. And that would have made me a grumpy little sourpuss. I was a grumpy little sourpuss anyways, but that was life things. Not last April, but April 2024. Wow, it's been over a year since then. So I want to hit 750 for 2. And then the homie, Shane Haller, before I even sent this plan out, he was like, dude, you hit 700 for 3, you can hit 815 to 881 for 1. And I was like, cool. And he was like, do it before August. And I was like, okay. So the plan for next week is supposed to be hitting something 800 plus. I would cut off at 900, and what I'm doing right now is something that I tell people not to do, called the 5-pound game. Usually when you are looking to like qualify for something, you'll take your PRs, or like, let's say that you squat 300, you bench 200, and you deadlift 400. I think those are realistic numbers. And then you're like, so what, 3, 5, 9? You need 1,000 pound total at your current weight class to qualify for something. But you need a 950 total to qualify the weight class below you. And you go, oh, I think I can get away with dropping that weight class and also adding 50 pounds to my total. But where does that come from? Well, if I squat 300, I could probably squat 305. If I could squat 305, I could probably squat 310. If I could squat 310, I could probably squat 315. And before you know it, you are squatting 1,000 pounds, benching 800 pounds, and deadlifting 2,000 pounds at 132. And you're like, these are all realistic numbers because you convinced yourself, if I can do 300, I can do 305. And it spiraled out of control. I remember my first full power meet, I did this exact same thing. And I was like, wow, I'm stupid. Why am I saying I'm going to squat 600 pounds when I haven't squatted 400 pounds yet? And that's what I call the 5-pound game. So I'm limiting my deadlift at 900 pounds. Have I ever deadlifted 800 pounds? Almost, but no. So I don't want to. It's a dirty bullet to do something like that. It's not quite a smoking gun, but you know that it's going to misfire, because if you don't hit what you say your top range is going to be, you failed. Which is why I don't like sending ranges to my clients when I program them. The only time I do is when I'm like, they are doing better and worse at the same time. So I send them a range. I did that with my client last week, and because he was struggling a little bit, one of my clients, and so I sent him a 2.5 to 7.5% increase on the bench the previous week, and he ended up doing 7.5%, and he was like, "This was really good. This was awesome." Like, well, yes. I was like, okay, so your CNS is completely recovered from pollen and over 10 hours worth of driving and everything that should wreck your CNS. You're recovered from that. Good job. Pat on the back. Papa's proud. So next week, but also I don't want to, when you max out, you basically pop your cherry, and it takes more than 1 week for your CNS to recover. So whenever you PR, whether it's a 1 rep, 2 rep, 3 rep PR, you're popping your cherry, and it's going to take you multiple weeks to recover. So if I hit 750 for 2, I will struggle next week because I will not be recovered enough. If I hit 800, 850, 815, whatever today, I will not be recovered for next week. Which may have factored into why 716 struggled last week. And I know I'm putting the cart before the horse, saying I missed 716 last week, but I want to hit something north of 725 for either 1 or 2 reps this week. So it's like, Patrick, what are you doing? You get to a certain point where your ability to express strength is more determined on your central nervous system than it is on your musculature. And that's when the fun begins. That's when people hit plateaus and they're like, this is hard. This is the hard part. That's when they have to clean up their diet, when they have to clean up their recovery, their rest, their sleep, steps. Like, you have to be more on point to break through those plateaus in order to progress. And that's where I'm at. That's where all the top level lifters are at. Somehow John Hack isn't there. I don't understand what it is, but that man is not a man. He is a extraterrestrial. Anyways, so I don't quite know what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to start warming up. And I'll be warming up. I'm not going to do triples today. All I know is I'm not doing triples today. I'm either doing singles or doubles. If I do the singles route, Beyonce, what's up? I will do 716, 750, 800, 8, speed check that 800. If it's really fast, 850. If not, then 815, 825. And then determine what the next jump is. If 825 moves good and I'm satisfied, then I'm satisfied. If I'm not, and it's moving good, maybe 850 or 881. But I will not convince myself to do anything larger than 900. I probably should cap it at 881. But that 900 is just so close. I'm doing the 5-pound game of, I can do 300, I can do 315. Because that's next prettiest number. Shout out to Fernando Arias in the group chat, the 2300 boys group chat last night. He just posted an 881 for a 2x2 on deadlifts. I'm a bitch. Anyway, so I'm going to speed check at around 600. If 500 moves good and 600 moves good, 500 moved terribly last week and it sucked. I wanted to do a double, and I was like, nope, single only. I should have known it was going to be a bad day at that point and reassessed the plan. We'll see what we're doing today, because if 500 feels good, if 600 feels good, we're going to 7. If we do 716, we're only going to do it for a single. If we get to 606, which I believe is 5 reds, then we're going to pop open and do a double, I think. Or we just do a single as fast as possible. And then depending on how 716 feels, if it's feeling... This is the difference between having a plan and doing instinctual training, because I've got 2 plans at once. We are in what's called a superposition of plans. If you have any background in quantum mechanics, you know about Schrodinger's cat, where there is a vial of a chemical inside of a box that Schrodinger placed his cat in with a hammer, and there is a chemical degrading in that box that will split off particles, and once one of those particles splits off, it will activate a hammer that will break the chemical vial and kill the cat. So the chemical will break off randomly, indeterminately, and the question is the cat dead or alive? And without looking into the box, the cat is both, and that is called a superposition. It all came from the 3-slit experiment, where depending on what you observe, the particles of light being shown at a wall with 3 slits in it, it will either act as a particle or a wave. So photons are different. And there you go, with a little bit of a math thing, 15 minutes into a brain dead powerlifting video. But that's what we got going on today. It's a lot of instinctual speed check, so I don't quite exactly know. I'm sure Sophie will be there, and she tends to be my voice of reason on things like this when I can't directly contact Shane Haller. Usually Shane Haller's like big picture, like day before, day of, what do I do? But not while I'm training, but while I'm training, usually it's Sophie's telling me, I'm like, what do I do? And then she says, you do this or you don't do this. And if she's not there, I try to ask Alec, the owner of my gym, Oasis Powerlifting Club in South Boston, Hyde Park. And he usually tells me what's good. So that's what we got going on today. I will see you guys at the gym. Boys, some days you win, some days you lose, and some days you just survive. Today's deadlift session is one of those days where I kind of just survived. So we started warming up, and we took 1 red, 2 red, 3 red. We weren't really super sure what rep scheme we were going to do. So we loaded up, and we got to 606 pounds, which is 5 reds, if you're doing the math. 5 reds is something kilos, something less than 300 kilos, but something more than like 250. I don't know. 25 times, so that's 50 times 5 plus 20, so that's 270 kilos. So at this point, I already knew that things were gonna go a little bit smoother than last week. Last week we ended up missing 716 at the knees, because CNS is just a little booped right now, and you can't boop the weight if the weight's booping you, you know. And so 496, which is 4 reds, moved pretty good. I was happy with how it moved. I generally know how a day is going to go based on how 490, basically 500 moves, because 500 is basically my baseline for anything that's going to be significant when it comes to training on the platform or training for the platform. So 496 felt really good, and so we popped up, and I told you guys I was going to go for a double at 606, and I got 606 for a double. Fantastic job, Patrick. Pat on the back. You are both handsome and amazing. And then we popped up to 716. I was a little nervous going into this 716 because last week's training day was just so bad. And a little inkling in my head was like, if the first rep feels good, go for a second rep. And so I loaded up. It's six reds. So 6 times 50, 300, so 320 kilograms, 716 plus the, so 325 kilograms, because we got the 2.5 kilo collars. Pulled that, and it did not move the way that I wanted it to, which means the CNS is still in its recovery phase. Best thing we can do is just eat, sleep, and get blood flowing, so getting some steps in. But not too many steps that we get negatively affected by our steppages and affecting our recovery and making sure that we don't have to recover from the cardio that we're doing. So 716, it moved not as good as I would have liked. So I took the video and I trimmed it down and I sent it to the boys, the 2300 boys. That's Shane Haller, Justin Zottel, Craig Foster, and Fernando Arias. And I was like, boys, why did this suck? The plan today, since we were doing singles, was go 716, 750, and then see where that is and go maybe 800. And 800, not there. 750, not there. I knew that going in. And the boys, specifically Justin Zottel, was like, load up 727. I was like, okay, I'm loading up 727. He was like, and you do a single there, and that counts as doing a double above 700. I'm like, that logic does not check out. The amount of time that it took for them, for the boys to respond, I had already decided that I was going to drop down the weight and do some reps out at 600. But when the boys say you can do more weight, you do more weight, because the boys are always right. So I loaded up so in my brain, I've got not a master's. I've got a bachelor's in mathematics. Sorry, I just got out of work and my brain's not really working right now. Because mental jobs drain your mental ability to do things. So when you get out of a mental job, your not mentality, but like your brain is already tired from working all day. So there's a difference between doing mental work and physical work. They're both tiring, but tiring in different ways. Kind of like the difference between cutting and bulking is cutting is mentally hard, bulking is physically hard. Because force feeding is a learned skill set, which no one should have to learn how to do. But cutting, you get cravings, and you got to learn how to be disciplined in your food consumption and not give in to those cravings. Bodybuilders out there will give you secrets if you ask them how to curb your cravings. One of the local bodybuilders out here, he actually does Sophie's Nutrition, or did Sophie's Nutrition at one point. He said, if you get cravings, grab yourself some sugar-free Jell-O with sugar-free, fat-free Cool Whip, and that should satisfy your cravings. He was right. I'm actually going to Market Basket or Demola's later today, picking up some sugar-free Jell-O cups. I made some sugar-free Jell-O the other day, and I tried to increase the speed in which it cooled down. So instead of just like, you cook it, you cook a cup of water, and you pour it over, and you mix up the powder that and then you put another like cup of water on top to cool it down, and then you put it in the fridge or the freezer for like a day, and then it comes out as Jell-O. So I was like, I want to eat this Jell-O today. So instead of just doing regular water, I put ice water. There's a reason they tell you not to put ice water in, because something to do with the way that molecules bond with each other. It's kind of the same reason why you don't microwave chocolate in order to melt it. It's like, it might take you 2 minutes to melt chocolate, but you do it in 15-second bursts rather than in just 1-2 minute burst. Because otherwise you'll burn your chocolate, because the molecules, cooking, and it makes sense that cooking meth is called cooking meth, because there's so much science behind a lot of the things that you do in cooking. Like, it just makes sense that like a really good chef could probably make something like meth. Sorry, I haven't even seen Breaking Bad, but anyway, so ADHD rant over. That Jell-O did not firm. It was like 90. It only firmed up about 85%, which was weird because it was super jiggly, but you couldn't, like, you ever go to a Chinese food buffet and they got the Jell-O and it's like perfect cubes and you're like, whoa, this is really good Jell-O. Like, it never got to that point, and it didn't get to the point where it was overly hard. Like when your mom used to make Jell-O and you're like, why is there like a crusty layer on my Jell-O? This is weird. Didn't get to either of those. There weren't even bits like either of those. It was weird. So I had to throw about half the thing out because it was not really. You had to drink the Jell-O, and drinking sugar-free Jell-O is an experience that no man should have to go through. No woman should have to go through that either. You wanna it's if it's not a hell yeah, it's a hell no. Even though it's only 10 calories for an entire sheet of sugar-free Jell-O, it was a hell no. I didn't want to have to frustrate myself eating that. It was a unique experience that I would not like to replicate. Anyway, so I loaded up what I believed was 727. How did I even get on Jell-O? Where was that brain process that brought me to Jell-O? Weird. Anyways, so I had 716 on the bar. I put the sixth plate back on the bar, and Justin Zotto said 727. So I was like, I just need to add 10 pounds. So I brought over the fives, and I put the fives on the bar, and I pulled it. It was a grinder. It was an absolute grinder. Not like the app that your boyfriends have on their phones, but it was like an actual grinder with an E. And I locked it out, but it was weird. The lockout, it like locked out, unlocked, relocked, and it kind of looked like a hitch. And I put so much emphasis in my head. Do not ramp, do not hitch. This is going to be a good deadlift. And then that shit happens, and I'm like, the heck? What the heck? So I saw that, and I sent that to the boys, and they were like, hell yeah, boys, you locked it out. It's a gym lift. You're good. It was a good lift. You got some progress today. And then Justin Zotto, the homie, he goes, you know why that sucked? Because your shoulders were forwards. And I go, oh, snickerdoodle. Oh, snickerdoodle. Snickerdoodle. I forgot to take the whip out of the bar. So the way I personally take the whip out of the bar is I don't want to say I row the bar. I basically pull my body into the bar. I was really emphasizing on getting my hips low to get a good starting position, because the bigger you get, the harder it is to get into your starting position. So super heavies should really hammer out deficit deadlifts, because it's going to be their worst variation of the deadlift. Fiddlesticks. Double fiddlesticks. I forgot to program something at work. Anyways, my brain is all over the place right now. Work was a little rough today. So super heavies, hard to get into position. Hammer out the deficit deadlifts. You'll be stronger for it. I was like, oh, snickerdoodle. That's what I was saying. Snickerdoodle. I forgot to pull myself into the bar. I basically row myself into the bar, pull myself into the bar. I was emphasizing my starting position. And that 90% of deadlifts live or die off the starting position. That is how deadlifts work. Which is why sumo pullers are really good when it comes to a super whippy bar, because they too live or die off of their starting position. And the more locked out you can get doing a sumo pull, the better position you're in to do an actual sumo pull, because you're getting rid of the smaller muscles. So if you can lock out a sumo deadlift before it leaves the ground, all you got to do is boop your glutes and it gets off the ground and it's locked out. Voila, you got a massive sumo pull, which is why everyone's pulling sumo these days, because they've figured out it's not a strength thing, it's a leverage thing. It's like trying to pick something up that's frozen on the ground with your bare fingers, and you're like, why don't I just get a shovel? And then you pop the shovel, and like half the ice breaks off, and like you're actually able to pick the thing up. You use leverage, but super heavies can't use that leverage. So poo-poo to the sumo. It's not cheating. It's just, and like you could say, oh, well, that means that there's a limit to the amount of if it's not a strength issue lift, there's a limit to how much you can abuse the leverages in order to, it becomes a strength thing, kind of like eventually at some point. So when you're deadlifting 1,000 pounds, there's so many sumo pullers out there that deadlift 600-700 pounds that it's almost average. Like if you're a 16-year-old, you should be deadlifting at least 500 pounds if you're pulling sumo, and it's stupid. But if you're a conventional puller, I don't want to say it's harder, but it's more manly. And your man card is you're allowed to grow a beard if you pull conventional, not if you pull sumo. If you pull sumo, you're not allowed to grow a beard unless you're Dan Grigsby. But Dan Grigsby's beard is kind of whack. It's kind of whack. Anyway, so I realized that I brought the 5s over and put the 5s on the bar. That would have, if it was 5-pound plates, it would have brought me to 327. But it was 5-kilo plates, and that brought me to 738. 1738. Is that the DJ Khaled thing? Is that DJ Khaled? I don't listen to much pop music. I haven't turned on the radio in years. I don't remember the last time I actually had the radio turned on. I listen mostly to classical music, Baroque music, and rock, metal, hardcore rap. My gym playlist is the definition of eclectic. And if you don't know what that word is, read more books. I'm not explaining it to you. Don't Google it. Read more books. ChatGPT isn't going to make you smarter. It's making you dumber. Read a book. But like 90%, I've listened to over 5 hours worth of audiobooks today. I finished off Starter Villain, and I also finished Rover Powered, book 1. Rover Powered is only 3 hours long, so it's not that hard to finish. But yeah, I was yeah. Anyways, my brain. Yeah, and then I did some accessories and skedaddled. And yeah, the super low floor tapped RDLs, and I didn't want to do abs because I was doing abs the day after, or not abs, but squats the day after, and I didn't want to burn my core out before squats. I don't like training back to back to back to back, like 3 or 4 days in a row. But the way that my schedule is, I have to. And yeah, so that's where we are. Anyways, if you like the video, leave a like. Even though I ADHD ranted for 90% of it, but that's part of the charm. I'm your consciousness, and you now think like me because I've brainwashed you to be smarter than the average bear. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, share with your mother. She misses me. Anyways, Patty out. See you guys with squats tomorrow.